About a year ago, I attempted the Doug Doug Challenge, a challenge where you have to go through a drive-thru and order whatever the person in front of you ordered and eat the entirety of it. It's basically speedrunning diabetes. It's incredibly difficult, but actually really fun to do with friends. And I thought to myself, what if I try the same exact challenge, but with alcohol? Basically, I go to a bar, I order whatever the person in front of me ordered, and me and my friends had to drink the entirety of it. How many bars could we go to while drinking safely and also responsibly? This is not a challenge! Do not try this at home, please. I did this with professional drinkers, an Australian, a Welshman, and a Doug Doug. We each had our own breathalyzers to make sure we were being safe, and then our night out started.
We have Hyde, we have Alex, we have Ludwig, we have Duncan, and we're gonna drink at 10 different bars.
The goal is 10 bars. We're gonna try to order what the previous closeout tab was. If it turns out that this is a horrible fucking idea, we'll quit. This might be stupid as shit.
She said maybe it'll be 2 drinks, which is a great start. This could be like, you don't really get it.
The Doug Doug Challenge doesn't stop at 10.
I think 10 is a nice round number that you go for, which feels very achievable. That's the sort of goal that we achieve. But if we smash past it, then the bar is just that much higher.
I don't think there's a better team on Twitch.
Unless it's like Chad from Cold Ones in 390-pound limit. They could drink more than us.
Just to explain for people the tab system, right? So one approach is you can go up to a bar and be like, I'll have whatever that guy ordered. But instead we're going off of a tab, which if you don't know is like anybody who's ordering throughout the night puts all of their orders onto a single tab. So it could easily be 1 beer and it could easily be 20 if they ordered for their friends.
Thank you very much. I'll have a backwash.
No. Bottom board. Do I have to spell this as well?
No, I use that. No, you have to. They have to have it in the tab.
The water in the
I got into the water in the tab.
Oh my god, Alex. I tried the tornado.
What the?
It didn't work.
Fuck?
Hey, just my
Have you ever successfully tornadoed?
No.
You thought today'd be the day?
I don't know.
Just out of nowhere.
Hey, bar number 1. Cheers.
Cheers.
That was a great start. I feel like this can only go great.
Yep. I'm having a good time right now. I don't know why this wouldn't continue.
Whatever the last closeout tab is, can we just order that?
You can get like 2 beers.
Just 2. Okay.
An angry orchard and a modern style hazy.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
That's the check when we made it.
Appreciate what we get at bars. This one's easy. This is kind of, yeah. Thanks so much.
This is great.
All right, bets.
I think we're gonna get 2 giant margarita things. Oh, look.
No.
Yeah.
No, fuck
Yeah,
that.
point to the empty table. To the empty table.
Oh, man. Oh, there's fucking.
No, there's fucking 3, bro.
Bars? Big bars?
Ooh.
Oh, wow. Great.
This looks amazing. The last order was 3 of these.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
How many people were there?
3.
Oh, you can. How much
Yeah, you can
tequila's
do
in it?
3.5 shots.
Each?
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay.
I will tank 1, and only 1.
This is like the Mario Party mini game, this table. It's like the ice one. It's like falling off.
I've never seen a drink like this in
Okay,
my
well,
life,
let's
let
see,
alone 3 of them. It's alright?
Wow.
Please don't say.
Okay, I'm liking that look. That's encouraging. That's encouraging.
So good.
Okay. That's
I was thinking it's so good.
If this continues, we will fail.
No, straight up will die.
But does it help to think that after this we're almost a third of the way through? Wait, we should do some kind of gamble. At the very end, whenever we stop, everybody guesses their exact VAC, and if they nail it, the other 3 have to do something for them.
1 more shot.
Gentlemen, to be honest, I feel terrible. I don't even feel drunk. I just feel bad. I just feel really bad. Like, oh, how long does it take?
Oh, baby, let me get behind the wheel right now.
Wait, I'm 0.05.
No. You can no longer get behind the wheel. It went up to 0.9 for a second. For 1 set, for an instant. It went to 9.
Officer, it was just a second. Wait, what'd you do? I stopped for that second, officer. I fucked up on the real me.
Can you tell?
I'm a stomachache, bro.
When I fucked up on the real me.
So whatever the last tab that closed, we just get that. Even if it's 1 drink.
It's not one drink.
No,
I didn't think that mattered.
Oh, she's doing. I saw.
Oh, it's margaritas!
I saw. Because tonight will be the night that I will.
Shut the fuck up.
Why do you always do that when I try to sing?
Because it's the worst.
Hey, they not like us.
Who are not like us?
People from the East Coast and pedophiles.
I agree with that. You are from the East Coast.
The only one here.
You are the only one from the East Coast.
Take it back, God.
Hey guys, why would you say that?
No.
We can do this. We can do this.
Wait. We were supposed to. You're lying.
How many shots are in
You're lying. Are they here still?
So we make all of our margaritas with love. So
All right, love it. I'm in.
one shot each?
no, we make with love. So
Okay, more than one shot.
I don't like love. I don't like love.
we make with love. And then you gotta do 2 shots of tequila and then 1 shot of Hennessy. Would you like a shot?
Hennessy.
Absolutely not. I'm already sweating.
Thanks so much.
Hey, cheers.
Please, if you will.
We'll take non-tequila shots.
I'm a tequila man.
Here we go. Just wine with you guys. Thank you.
Cheers.
So much.
Okay, that makes up for my scam. I just threw my vodka, my tequila on the floor, but technically she has drank one.
That's fair,
No,
that's fair.
we're eating. She saw me throw it, and she thought, we can't let the challenge be ruined. Hey,
Cheers.
never lie, steal, or cheat. But if you must lie, lie in the arms of a lover.
You gotta get moving.
We've seen your blood alcohol limit. I reckon you need to start pulling your weight here.
It's true.
Alright. If it was beer, it would be great.
Yeah.
Great.
I want beer, man.
I want beer so bad.
You gotta wash your mouth.
I'm dumping the next one.
That's mine.
Why are you so drunk?
I'm not drunk, deadass. Ask me any question at all, I will answer it.
25 times 7.
Ooh. It's very easy.
175.
No, 150.
You're dumb as fuck.
What is the capital of Mongolia?
You want to play a little,
Lemon in the eye game.
Yes,
I
sir.
love that game.
Get me, dealer.
You want this in the eye?
Yeah, I'll do
Just a
it.
drop.
Oh, why?
Give me as well.
Why are you doing this?
Fuck.
No! Shit, why?
I see it.
I already had one. I'd say you and I need to have 2 each.
No, he needs to help me with this.
He is sober, everybody.
Okay, I'll stop.
He's sober.
I don't like.
How many have we been to?
This is our 4th.
4. We're almost a third of the way through.
What is the drink count?
But you're sober. You're sober.
No, I could literally drive like a forklift with children. No, I actually had a question, and I was wondering what the last tab that was closed out was.
Beer bucket.
All right, give me just a moment. It's 5 beers. It's a beer bucket.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
That's the roll.
That's good.
So it turns out it wasn't a beer bucket, which would have been nice. It's
I would have loved
shots
that.
of Don Julio, which I don't know what that is. It's just
That's tequila.
Oh,
It is.
No. Do you want to actually smoke?
that would actually be funny, but I might be a little bit smelly.
So I would, except we are like in an establishment. Wait, but like we're just. How is this going to do anything anyway?
You think he's more drunk than he is. They changed our order. It's not beer. It's now more tequila shots. Tequila shots.
They checked. They said it's
Are you lying to me?
I'm not lying.
I will kill myself in front of them in 2 course of our lives. All of our lives. All right, I'm the tequila guy. I got all 4. Alright, throw them at me.
No, here's what I'll
You
say.
can't handle one.
I studied the art of Bushido. So it was 4 shots, not 5 beers? You lied to me.
I know.
You lied to me.
Sorry. I didn't mean to.
That's all right.
Do you want to take one with us? Low key, hell yeah.
All right. Cheers.
Nice. I mean, I'm happy. Thank you so much. You saved me.
I think that's sad blood.
I don't think Ludwig should have taken one. To be honest with you.
Why did he do
I thought he was passing his to her.
I thought I was gonna do it.
One of us now needs to start like jumping on the Ludwig grenade.
That was a very nice shirt. Whatever it's made out
So I went to the State Farm shoot. If you want it, I'll give it off my back right now. Wait. What the fuck? You're wearing his shirt. When did this happen?
Wait, what?
Holy shit. I'm taking off my shirt too.
Ball,
We're taking it off.
No one
to swap it with.
No one wants to swap with you.
Swap with me!
We swap. No.
Let me take it off.
Keep your shirt on, Ludwig.
Do you notice they switch shirts?
Yeah, I'll try.
I hate you guys so much. We need another 1 or 2 beer bar.
Yeah.
If we don't get that, this might be okay. I got this.
No. No offense. First off, not a walking. Okay. Secondly, let me talk at the bar, please. I think they're going to cut us off. If Lud walks in, they're cutting us off.
This is a sports bar. But like, why are they blasting music about like sucking dick at like 9:56? You don't like sucking dick? No, I just didn't like. I just didn't know the sports bar was chill like that. Yeah. I didn't know that was what. Because if you go to a sports bar in the UK, it's depressing. It's quiet.
This is the coolest sports bar I've ever been to.
Well, no, this place fucking sucks. Nobody knows how to fucking drink. All they do is no one talks to each other, and they have 15 margaritas, and like no one knows how to actually drink or like talk.
I think no one's talking to us because we have Ludwig with us. He's going,
No. Yes! A single bean. Oh my god! On that. Oh, wonderful. Okay, let's go to the next bar. I will admit, one more bad order, and I think I'm getting to the point where I can't handle it.
It's a great day to be alive, boys.
You know what it is?
I do.
What is it?
We got 2 beers and a plate of dates.
Oh!
Beer number 1 and beer number 2 is not going to Ludwig. It's going to Alex.
Sorry, Ludwig. No beer for you.
I think if we get 2 more 2 beers,
Let Papa have a sip.
No! Papa is too strong.
When I'm fucked up, I'm the real me. I think that George Bush was a bad president.
No, Ludwig, no. Ludwig, get him out. Get him out of there. Get him out of there. No, get out. Get out. Get out. It's not a store.
can we do the last tab that they did in here?
Hey, Rick, I'm gonna come my jorts. I've never seen the show. I've never seen the show.
Let's go.
I've never seen the show.
I feel like
Rick, what do you think about the attempt on Donald Trump's life?
4 out of the 5 of us.
No.
My last bar was
He's also a little bit drunker than the rest of us.
I would love if the last drink. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, please. Actually. That's perfect. That's great.
Where are we? Why, we're at none other than the Krusty Krab.
Did you say Krusty Krab?
That's right. Krusty Krab, home of the world famous Krabby Patty.
You might know us as Nick and Babish, but today, consider us SpongeBob and Squidward.
As you can see from our beautiful surroundings, we are in Bikini Bottom and we're working at the one and only Krusty Krab.
This is the entire Krusty Krab menu, and in this video, we'll be cooking all of the most popular items on this menu, plus a few fun specials.
First up, Krabby Patty.
1 Krabby Patty, extra onion.
1 crying Johnny coming up. First bun, then patty, followed by ketchup, mustard, pickles, extra onions, lettuce, cheese, tomatoes, and bun, in that order.
Whatever.
Skillful. All right, so Krabby Patty, famously secret formula. Luckily, we got it right here. Zwagvchiel.
Yeah, this is not going to be any help.
Luckily, Nickelodeon posted a recipe on their website, so we're just going to try that.
We have all the ingredients right here.
Most alarmingly, crab, which I highly doubt Mr. Krabs would be putting in his burgers.
Imitation crab.
There it is.
If you watch the show carefully, it's clear there's no meat in the Krabby Patty.
And the creator, Stephen Hillenburg, vegan. He passed away sadly, but before he did, he said that the Krabby Patty is vegan. All begins with some of this beautiful imitation crab stick.
Which is just so creepy to look at.
It's like mozzarella sticks, but crab.
It's like string cheese.
That's what I meant.
But
Not
crab.
mozzarella sticks, string cheese.
On top of that, we're going to go in with some seasoned breadcrumbs. Next,
2 eggs.
1, 2, just a little bit of thyme.
I feel like they were like, we got to put something in there.
Yeah.
Let's just put thyme in. And there's never enough of it, am I right? In the day. Thyme. Next up, some chopped white onion.
And I will follow that with a bit of chopped celery. One of the cool things about this video is that since we're in Bikini Bottom, we also have all of the condiments that come from Bikini Bottom. Here I have crusty ketchup, secret formula,
sea mustard, and Krabby mayo. Tablespoon each, sea mustard and mayo, a little bit more than a tablespoon, but
and then to finish it off, a nice generous sprinkle of salt. Easy to find sea salt in Bikini Bottom.
ocean humor. And then we have pepper. Much harder to find in Bikini Bottom.
You're telling me.
I am telling you.
Whoa.
Whoa.
It smells really good.
There's a pickle smell to it, even though no pickle.
Oh my
in there.
gosh, it smells amazing.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Is this patty?
Whoa. Yeah, patties. Who would have thought?
Is
And it
safe to eat?
smells incredible.
It's safe to eat right now, isn't it?
There's egg, but
It's good. It's good.
it smells amazing.
I like it. You know what maybe help is a little bit of oil.
You know what? We forgot the oil.
We are professionals.
Oh, that looks great.
That looks right.
And it smells great.
It smells fantastic. It smells like coleslaw.
It smells like a really good crab cake to me, to be honest.
Oh, no, true. That's what we're making here, is for like a good
Quite
crab
literally,
cake.
we're making crab cakes, yeah.
That just dawned on me.
Yep. So, since the Krabby Patty is quite tall, we actually made some specially prepared buns that'll hopefully give us that iconic Krabby Patty look.
They look like cartoons in real life. It's fantastic.
Now that we've got our patties perfectly shaped out, we can place them down on this parchment. You remember any other Krabby Patty fun facts?
One time, Mr. Krabs faked out plankton by convincing him that the secret ingredient was indeed plankton. But it was just a ploy. Just a brilliant ploy.
Oh, these buns we made. Oh, look how airy that is.
Ooh.
I've never seen bread like that. Maybe it bakes different at the bottom of the ocean.
Bubbles. Oh, God, that's good.
And this is the most perfect looking set of buns I've ever seen.
Well, you haven't seen mine. So you slice the buns. I'm going to try a viral food hack. These patties are super delicate. They fall apart if I look at them wrong. So I've seen a lot of videos of people frying on parchment, just parchment right in the pan. This might not be safe or good for you, so maybe you don't do it at home. But we're professionals, remember? Okay. It's frying. There's sizzle. This is working.
I am done cutting our buns, so I'm going to go and get some of our nice red onion. As we can see from the clip, they don't use white onion, they use red onion. So we need to make sure everything is exactly as it is on the real thing.
And they slice it hilariously thick.
Thicker than I would ever want on any sort of burger, but we have to do it like they do.
Yeah.
Right?
Accuracy is paramount. What's happening underneath here? Oh, I burned it.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah. Mr. Krabs would fire me for any reason he could find. I'll just fry up one more here. How's that grill marks?
I don't know. I have no idea how you got the grill marks on that, but congratulations.
I have no idea either, and thank you.
Can you do a good SpongeBob voice or no?
Not SpongeBob at all, but I can do. Maybe I could do a Krabs. It's Mr. Squidward. No,
You're burning the other.
Oh, no, okay. Well,
I am proud to say I have prepped out all of our ingredients for our Krabby Patties.
that looks fantastic. That looks like as if we're shooting a cooking show or something.
Now for the assembly. First bun,
Then patty,
followed by ketchup,
mustard,
pickles,
onion,
lettuce,
cheese,
tomato.
bun. That's a Krabby Patty.
That's a Krabby Patty. Now that we've successfully made a Krabby Patty, let's try out the Jelly Patty.
Hey, buddy, what the heck is that?
Why, this is a hole, good sir. You see, I am a sponge, and we typically...
Not that. That.
It's just a little old Krabby Patty smothered in jellyfish jelly. I call it a Krabby Patty with jellyfish jelly.
Could I try some?
Sure!
Amazing. I've got to tell someone about this. Hey, all you people. Hey, all you people.
Hey, all you people.
Lucky for us, we've actually got a live jellyfish tank right here that we can use to make these jelly patties.
Let's see who can catch one first.
Here we go.
Oh, that was easier than I thought.
You gotta catch them all. It's like Pokemon. I got one.
Got two.
Got one.
Dropped one.
These jellyfish are actually beautiful now that I'm looking carefully at them.
Majestic creatures.
Ah, it got me.
I know what to do.
No! The thing I'm nervous about with these jelly patties is the texture.
Yeah.
Jellyfishes is kind of nasty.
Texture's very important. Not as much as flavor.
Let's see how this works.
Oh, the poor jellyfish. The sad part is that SpongeBob just tickles the jellyfish until they goo. But we're just crushing these poor...
Yeah, these guys weren't going to be tickled. And with the bun back on, just like that, we have our jelly patty.
I dare you to take a bite of that.
At the end.
Okay. All right, so we've made the Krabby Patty, we've made the Jelly Patty. Time for Pretty Patties.
Pretty patties, available in 6 designer colors.
Mr. Squidward, come look. Don't that look appetizing?
Good, sir. Pretty patties, pretty patties. Stop it.
They made him cry.
Yeah, no, they're mean. They're bad people.
I didn't want us to have to make these pretty patties from scratch, given we have so many exciting things coming up, like the crusty pizza or the kelp shake.
Triple gooberberry sunrise sundae.
So I followed your recipe.
Oh, thank you.
And I made these pretty patties.
Well, pretty is about all they are, if I remember correctly from my recipe, because they're very vegetal. The cheese is vegan, the patties are vegan, and they're mostly natural colors. Like, definitely food coloring in the buns, but like we have peas and spinach, carrots, beets, corn, potatoes and cabbage, and sun-dried tomatoes.
I mean, these are really incredible.
They're very pretty.
Yeah.
They don't taste awesome, but they're pretty.
Let's save these for later to taste with all the rest of the stuff, but I'm excited to taste them.
That's nice of you to say.
You remember that time they turned a Krabby Patty into a pizza?
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna try that.
All right.
Pizza? Of course we have pizza.
Mr.
Our
Krabs.
delivery squid will bring it right over.
Mr. Krabs, we don't serve pizza.
I don't know if we can do that. Defies the laws of thermodynamics, I think.
We're off to a good start with this one here. We have the pizza box. We just need the pizza.
Let's make one.
The key that we have to remember with this Krusty Krab pizza, of course, is that it only has Krabby Patty ingredients in it. The only 2 ingredients that we're going to be using that are not Krabby Patty ingredients, though, are this pepperoni and this mushroom.
Which are visible on the Krusty Krab pizza. We have no other recourse.
Let's first appreciate the cutter you're using here, the Mr. Krabs cutter.
I don't even know where you found all this stuff.
I mean, we're in Bikini Bottom, remember?
Oh, yeah, duh. I'm sorry. We found it right around the corner.
So we're starting off with this incredible burger bun or pizza dough. Nice.
That looks like a pizza.
Let's toss this baby onto our tray. All right, go ahead. So next up, we're gonna press on Krabby Patty burger meat.
It's pretty kind of gross looking.
But the idea is we want to press it out really thin on the bottom of our pizza so that it really is made up of a lot of Krabby Patty.
We're trying to be accurate here, folks. This isn't funny.
This isn't funny at all.
This is serious business. This is our job.
This is our job. I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
Now, for a special trick. Boom. Obviously, we're using all Krabby Patty ingredients, so in comes the crusty ketchup instead of pizza sauce.
I'm hypnotized right now.
I actually think this pizza's gonna taste pretty good.
I bet it's gonna taste like a crab burger. Cheese time.
Cheese it up. They have cheese at the bottom of the sea.
I mean, they have squirrels, they have campfires, and everything in there.
And now, there's a trick I want to do. We need to make this just like a burger.
Yeah.
And if we leave the crust naked, it doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to go around the crust first with some oil, and then we're gonna cover that all up with sesame seeds.
All the folks at home, if you want to actually try this, this is a genuinely brilliant move that Nick came up with.
It's the perfect way to make your crust like a burger.
Which is what I'm looking for in a pizza.
And now the toppings are very specific. It has 7 pieces of pepperoni.
And 8 mushrooms. No more, no less. There's a good spot for you. How about there?
I mean, should we bake it?
I want to eat it. So yeah, let's put it in the oven. Pizza's coming out. It looks beautiful.
Here we go. Slide it right in.
Box it up.
Wow.
That's the Krusty Krab pizza.
Good. Delivery time. No, I'm just kidding. We're eating this ourselves, so.
And this plastic cutter doesn't like it very much. There we go. Come on now.
Almost. Oh, that looks good.
Yeah, this looks fantastic.
But let's save it till we finish the rest.
Feast. Yeah, it'll stay nice and warm in this box. Not only did they turn the Krabby Patty into a pizza, they turned it into a
not impressed.
I made it with leftover ingredients.
Now I'm impressed.
That reads fecal to me.
We'll see how it tastes. The crusty dog looks kind of disgusting.
Really disgusting.
So we need to make it look really disgusting.
That's gonna be easy.
This is actually a bunch of those fake meat patties. Again, everything in SpongeBob is meatless and vegan, even though it seems like they're eating burgers and crab all the time. In SpongeBob, it's actually sort of shaped like a banana. It's got a weird curve to it.
Happens to lots of guys.
Shape it like what? It looks terrible, and that's what we want.
Let's put it in the oven and see what happens.
All right, here we go. And just like that, it's done.
That's unfortunate. Oh.
We nailed it.
Yeah, we really knocked it out of the park with this one.
It's crusty. It's a dog.
It looks like poop. This looks like poop. Goes into a top split bun.
And that's it. They don't put anything on this thing. That's the crusty dog.
It doesn't need anything. Look at it, it's perfect. All this food's got me pretty thirsty. I need something to drink. What about a kelp shake?
It'll take decades to clean this hazardous material up.
I sure feel sorry for whoever drank this.
This one looks dangerous.
We gotta be careful.
If we're gonna make a kelp shake, we might as well make some kelp rings.
That makes perfect sense. So to make the kelp rings and kelp shake, we're gonna need a little bit of kelp.
And that's why we literally had to send a team out into the middle of the ocean in Alaska, the only place in the world where you can get kelp like this that you can get rings from.
My only question is, did you get enough?
What we have here is a special type of kelp called bullwhip kelp.
Lives up to its name.
Apparently it makes a cool sound when you cut it.
Whoa!
Oh God.
Didn't make a sound. Ow, hit me right in the face.
This is how we're gonna make our kelp rings.
And this transparent part of the kelp will be used to make the kelp shake.
This is the most satisfying thing I think I've ever cut in my entire life.
I wish you guys could cut this with us.
Go subscribe and maybe we'll let somebody come and cut some kelp with us.
Maybe, if you're cool.
All jokes aside though, did you know I'm on a mission to catch Gordon?
How far away are you?
We're close.
Well then, subscribe already. What are you guys doing? Wait, hold up your finger.
Oh!
Dude perfect. Get at me.
I don't know how else to describe these rings other than the fact that they look and feel really cool. Do you think this is gonna work?
I think it's gonna look, it's sticking.
I mean, this is exactly how they make them in the show.
It's almost as if nature designed these to be breaded and deep fried.
Woohoo! How'd they look?
They're frying. Oh my God, that's really hot oil. Look at that. That cooked in 0 seconds.
Take them right out.
Yeah. When I close my eyes and think kelp rings, that's what I
That's
picture.
awesome. You're doing a good job today manning the fry station, SpongeBob.
Thanks, Mr. Crab. Nope,
I'm
can't do it.
Squidward. I'm Squidward.
Thanks, Squidward. Yeah.
This is probably the thing I'm most excited to taste so far.
Can't say I've ever had deep fried breaded kelp.
We crushed those.
Nice, dude. Kelp shake.
We got the bottles.
They're bottles.
Let's make the actual shake.
Let's do it. So here's the kelp.
If you blanch it in a little bit of boiling water, it turns much greener.
Wow.
Really cool, right?
It's so much better looking than this yellowy nightmare over here.
The powers of blanching.
Yeah. So there are only 2 ingredients in a kelp shake. It's 99% kelp, then 1% some radioactive ingredient that gives the user green hair.
I have that radioactive ingredient right here.
Where'd you get that?
Don't worry about it.
I can't say I've ever blended kelp before. It's the first time for everything.
This is really kind of nasty. I'm gonna add just a little bit of seawater from our fish tank. And of course, probably the most important part, this little vial of radioactive material.
Do we have protection on or something?
Okay, it's too late for that.
Okay. Smoothie. Huh? Okay, yeah, that's great.
This looks horrible.
Smells like high tide.
Wow, that smells terrible. Looks awful in the best way possible. And we made just enough.
Is that 1 serving? No. Should we try it?
Take a sip.
I'll see what happens. Ugh.
Oh my God.
Oh, it tastes like. What? Is everything okay? Am I okay?
You're good. You're good.
Okay. Feel hotter.
You know, one of my favorite drinks in the summer is actually pink lemonade. You ever tried ink lemonade?
No.
What are you doing? Oh, I ran out of lemons, so I'm squeezing this. That won't work. Huh? Could use more fire hose. Here you go.
Yum!
I don't know if I want to try it. It seems unpleasant. So now we got to make lemonade and then what? Add squid ink to it?
Yeah, so right here is a special jar of Squidward's My ink.
You made that with your body?
I didn't think about that when I said it. Brandon, cut that.
No, come on, Brandon.
I think I'm gonna have to phone a friend. Do you think I should listen to Nick or Babish?
Just do what I do when I have problems. Scream!
We know how to make lemonade. We're professionals.
Right? I mean, how do you do it?
A lot of fresh lemon.
Lots of fresh lemon. Just a little bit of water.
Perfect. I got my Squidward special simple syrup.
Did you make that with your body as well?
Gorgeous.
Jet black lemonade.
Could I pour you a glass?
Yes, please. Thank you. Parched. That was an interesting way to pour it.
Thank you, SpongeBob.
Here you go, Squiddy. Old Squidster.
And with that, there's only one thing left to make before we feast.
The triple gooberberry sunrise ice cream thing? Yeah.
And here's your triple gooberberry sunrise, sir.
Yum.
Oh, triple gooberberry sunrise, huh? Well, I guess I could use one of those.
Now you're talking. Hey, waiter! We need another one over here.
There you go.
Ooh.
So we got a mountain of ice cream here. Now we just got to make it into a triple gooberberry sunrise sundae.
Put these arms on.
We're using marzipan bananas because I am deathly allergic to bananas.
So we're using fake bananas so you don't die.
Thank you.
And then the cherries.
Cherry time.
Wow, this is cool.
Now a little smile with this licorice.
Put that baby on there.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, and then the eyes blue, and then green, and then pink. Last part, just a little touch of hair.
Hair is overrated.
And there it is.
The triple gooberberry sunrise
Sundae.
sundae.
I got it. I helped you. One more thing before we feast. We can't make a video of the entire Krusty Krab and not make one thing from the chum bucket.
No.
Let's make a chum stick.
Sounds good.
There you are. I'm sure I've made a satisfied customer of you already.
That was appalling! What was in that?
Oh, just the usual ingredients. Some jellyfish squeezings, whale blubber, seahorse snout, and a sprinkle of anchor rest.
Oh, barnacles, that's foul!
There it is.
Chum stick.
Chum stick.
I am not excited to taste that.
That looks good, actually. What's in that?
Chum.
No, never mind.
You ready to feast?
I'm ready to feast.
We just successfully made every single popular food from the Krusty Krab. It's incredible just looking down at all the different foods. I'm just a little scared. And you know what I'm even extra scared about? If you look really close on the corner of this menu, what does it say?
It says money back guarantee.
I'm just nervous about the fact that money back guarantee is so hidden.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get what we paid for.
Well, luckily we made it all on our own.
Yeah, we didn't pay a dime. Well, we did, but well, anyway, let's try it.
Yep, here we go.
So we're gonna be rating things on an S tier scale.
So let's start with the kelp shake, just because you've already tasted that.
That's so gross.
So you...
Oh, man. Hard F.
Next one, let's just start from the top. Good old Krabby Patty.
I'm gonna do the jelly one.
All right, you do jelly, I'll do Krabby.
Cheers.
Yeah.
It's really solid, especially considering he was using imitation crab meat. It tastes good.
It's pretty delicious. Almost can't believe I'm saying this, but this is an A tier for me.
So the jelly patty, it's just gross. It's cold and gelatinous and has a weird flavor. I don't care for it, not much at all. I think that knocks it down a few notches. I'm gonna bring it down to a C.
This one here we didn't actually make, but this is canned bread.
Which I can't believe is a thing. Oh, what the hell? Oh, yeah.
Bread in a can.
It's jiggly. Look at that.
You.
Let's look at that crumb.
It looks more like a cake than bread.
Dude, this smells only like molasses. Is this a cake?
It's bread.
I think it's cake.
It looks okay. It looks like a good moist gingerbread, and it's horrible.
Worst of all, it's spongy.
I'm giving this one a solid D tier.
Easily.
One other item here that we made off camera are these coral bits. 4 cups of coral, 1 teaspoon of salt, then you mix them up and...
Coral bits.
They're actually really cool.
Well, coral is one of this world's most beautiful treasures.
How do we feel?
It's pretty good. It reminds me of tempura mushrooms or something.
Yeah.
It's so pretty too. That gets us some points. So I'm gonna give it a B. B tier.
B tier?
Yeah.
I have been dying to try the kelp rings. Oh wait, I like it.
Dislike. Downvote.
No, I really like it.
You actually like it?
Well,
Holy, what's happening here?
I really, really like it.
I like it too.
Let's both give it a rating since we disagree, and we'll average them in the middle. I'm going to give this an A tier.
A tier for this. All right. Yeah. I'm giving it a C tier.
Then kelp rings get a B.
This guy's next.
The crusty dog.
I've had my eye on you all day.
Oh my god, it's horrible. That's just awful.
It's so hard.
Oh god, it's so salty.
It's so salty. Oh, why does it taste like that too? It's got a weird off flavor.
That is horrible.
F tier.
Listen to this. Let's have something a little better than all the we've just eaten.
Have some burger pizza.
Looks fantastic.
Let's give it a shot.
Yeah, here we go. Looks amazing, actually. Are we going to disagree again? Because I love this.
Okay. It's growing on me as I eat it, actually.
Okay. The ketchup works as a sauce, let me just say.
Which is fascinating.
I mean, you know what? Am I going to do it? Am I going to rate this one S tier?
Are you going to do that?
Yeah, but we're split decision again, so you got to give your rating now.
The crab's putting me off, and the ketchup is a little too sweet for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm still going to give it a B, so nets it an A.
A tier. Still no S tier. Damn it.
Sorry.
There's not much left. We've got the ink lemonade, which it looks like you want to start on next. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it has a seafood essence.
Metallic-y.
Don't put your bodily fluids into drinks that you sell to others. I'm throw this in E, because it's not making me physically sick, but it's pretty awful.
That's fair. Let's dive into the chum stick and the gooberberry sundae. I'll let you do the honors with the nicer one. Is it great?
It's brilliant. Perfectly composed. Excellent mouthfeel. I would put this in the S tier without question.
S tier. We got a first S tier. Beautiful to look at and evidently beautiful to eat.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to have the chum stick, which looks absolutely terrible. Ooh, it's so gooey. It wasn't good.
Okay. So what are you rating it? Oh. Are you okay, Nick?
Chumstick, definite F tier. And that just leaves us with one last incredible thing. Probably the most beautiful thing of the entire video. The pretty patties.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go for the blue one.
I'm not sure if I would eat that. Oh my God, Nick! Did you put a banana in your pants? I told you I'm allergic to bananas.
Hello, today I'm forcing a British man to try all of the American snacks. That's right, red dye 40 is going to infiltrate his blood veins, vessels, veins. Watch it now. And let me know what your favorite American snack is in the comments and any that I missed that are pretty important, because I had a hard time shopping. It's tier list time, everybody.
What are we doing today, cutie? What's the great and fun thing that I have to do?
I'm forcing this British man to drink a bunch of red dye 40. He's gonna die from it. I got dog food. No, we're trying American snacks. You've done this many times.
Not all of them.
You haven't tried all of them. We did research.
I have not tried. Oh, you watched the video?
We watched the video. What?
So many of them. I was going to say, you need to make like a double.
F tier?
There's gonna be more in F tier. I'm telling you right now.
We did get some stuff that you have changed or you have tried because we needed some things that you liked
Okay.
But you'll have to tell me. I think we did okay. You'll have to tell me if you like you've never tried something.
Is this how many we're doing?
Don't touch it.
No. I just want to see like that's the thickness.
Yeah, you're gonna get sick. We can get a salad after.
Oh, please, can we?
Yeah.
I had
that'd be
sweet
great.
greens. There wasn't a single leaf in there. I don't know what part of that was salad.
I don't know how you did that. I don't know how you lucked out.
But it was great.
Have you ever had cucumber lime?
Well, lime's good.
Okay.
And cucumber's refreshing, so...
Well, cheers.
Cheers. Okay, that's it. How bad can it be? I'm getting it's fine. Oh, it's not. Okay.
It's yummy. It tastes like pickle juice, kind of. I'm into it.
Weird. It doesn't really taste good.
It doesn't taste bad.
It tastes like pickle juice.
Yeah, can I try more?
Yeah, have more. Go
I need to,
crazy. He likes it.
No, okay, I wouldn't go that far.
When you're a tier list expert. I know this about you.
I don't know. Okay, chat would disagree with you.
Well, you've like done
I've
a
done
tier
a
list.
lot.
You're a tier list whore. Sorry, I should say. He's a big tier list.
You wouldn't call
slut
someone who has
over
a lot
here.
of sex an expert. You'd
Yeah.
say they're a
You're a bit of a used up bicycle.
Okay. Right.
So what would you
The distribution.
Yes.
So let's go through it. S is like would eat or drink every single time it's offered to me.
Okay.
Like without hesitation.
Yeah.
A is would be my like go-to snack if
Okay.
I could choose. B is like more than happy to have it, but
Okay.
not like super pumped about it. C is like, all right, if it's really there and there's nothing else, I'll go for it. D is like, I'd rather not, and I
Okay.
don't want it, don't like it. F is literally inedible, sorry. Human garbage should go back to the factory. All right, so I should rank this, right?
Okay, yes.
It's not bad. I'm happy to put it. Do you have any input, or is it all me?
I will defend what needs to be defended, but I will help. I'm your Sherpa, but I'm also
one more.
America's Sherpa.
One more.
So if you do something
little
that
face.
upsets me, I will say it.
Okay, all right, well, like Ludwig then.
What?
He chirps up a lot.
No, I'm not like him.
Okay, I decided. I think
Yes.
it's B. I think it's fair.
That's a good start.
I think it's B. I'm more than happy to have. If that was colder as well, if I'd
Yeah.
just been working up a sweat, I'm sure that would taste great. Very refreshing.
Thank
Also
you,
nice to
Gatorade.
know it's not crazy, calories.
Zero sugar.
Yeah, a lot of sodium though, actually.
Well, this is Kool-Aid.
Yeah, well, I've never had Kool-Aid.
You've never had Kool-Aid?
No.
This is my childhood, except for this is expensive. These ones are expensive. You got to get the packets.
Because normally you mix it yourself,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So, but honestly, we're a little bougie here. Late night with Cutie. So,
This does feel like peak childhood.
oh, it's so fun.
A childhood I've never experienced. Because we have stuff kind of like this too. Just a lot more plain.
Blue is such a fun flavor. It tastes just like food coloring.
Yeah, it does taste like food coloring in a bottle with water and sugar. Is this the flavor?
Blue and red.
Which one's more popular?
I'm always been a blue girl. So-
But generally, are you willing to say that red is probably...
Yeah.
My knowledge of Kool-Aid is Family Guy.
Yeah?
The Kool-Aid man.
Yeah. Well,
That's all I know. And he's
usually
red. And he's
yeah,
red.
he is red.
That's a weird one.
It mostly tastes like chemicals.
I don't think I would drink that, honestly.
Tongues of blue. What?
That I would have to be in the Sahara Desert and have nothing else. It's
Okay.
just sugar. I'd actually just rather you give me water and give me a cup of sugar, and I'll eat the sugar like a mule.
This is the reason that 90% of us are going to get diagnosed with something.
Yeah. Everything in California may include lead. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that's fun. I'm gonna say D. That's a D. Yeah, sorry, that's D.
This iceberg will feature a lot of disturbing and banned video games. Viewer discretion is advised. Murder Dog. Murder Dog is a 2011 video game made by an independent Irish developer. Murder Dog is an adventure game which involves the player in a courtroom defense of a canine with a comically obvious desire for murder. While Murder Dog was satirical in its nature, the game received recognition from many critics for its subversive commentary on the justice system. The player assists noted murder enthusiast Murder Dog, a canine on a trial at The Hague, for crimes against humanity, charged with more than 1,500 instances of brutal homicide. Murder Dog is openly unremorseful for the suffering he has caused and vows to murder again, stating openly that his thirst for murder still remains. It is up to the player to present Murder Dog's case and determine the outcome through one of 6 endings. A small dog located at the bottom of the screen provides commentary on the proceedings as they unfold and their implications for the justice system, whilst opinioning over the nature of violence and justice. Splatter School. Splatter School is a 2D side-scrolling game where the player plays an ordinary high school girl named Jessica. She took an after-school nap in a classroom one day and was woken up by the fire alarm. When she exits the classroom to see what has happened, she sees that her classmates have been killed by monsters. Jessica, armed only with a box cutter, must now escape the school. When Jessica is wounded, she will lose a piece of clothing until she is completely naked. When she has only 1 hit point left, the next time she is wounded, she will either get assaulted or killed. In any case, it is a game over. The game consists of 5 levels, with an end-level boss at the end of each level. Garage Bad Dream Adventure. Garage Bad Dream Adventure is an obscure Japanese point-and-click horror game produced and created by horror artist Tomomi Sakuba in 1999 for Apple Macintosh and Microsoft Windows. It was an incredibly rare game, having only 3,000 copies made, and became sort of a holy grail for 4chan users. It wasn't until 2014 when a user of the Hardcore Gaming 101 forums would snatch up a copy of Yahoo auctions and dump it online when it would be available to the general public. The game stars a little robot who is identified as Yan, who wakes up in a cramped room with no recollection of themselves, beyond the need to find their sneakers. They find themselves in a worn-down mechanical world inhabited by similar machines. Yan sets off to explore the lonely world of Garage, and ends up unraveling it from the core. Now, the main reason this game is in this video is due to its highly disturbing themes and its highly disturbing depiction of SA, which I'm definitely not going to get into in this video. Battle is a fighting game developed and published by Illusionsoft in 2002. The game has gained notoriety and controversy for its simulation of assault. It is a hand-to-hand combat 3D fighting game. The gameplay system features power-ups that can be picked up in the arena. The female characters can lose their clothes as they take damage, and special moves that include sexually explicit grapple attacks. Besides the single and multiplayer modes, including story mode, features the extra mode for additional unlockable content. It allows the player to see unlockable artwork and animations, as well as featuring an option to allow to freely any of the 4 female fighters. The game has gained a ton of notoriety because of its forced assault elements, and was credited to be one of the Japanese adult games that not only resulted in a widely publicized outcry in the West, but also led to the establishment of Ethics Organization of Computer Software in 2009. Bad was included on Game Radar's list of one of the 7 most evil games in 2007. Ethnic Cleansing. Yeah, this one is as bad as it sounds. Ethnic Cleansing is a 2002 first-person shooter developed and published by Resistance Records, a record label owned by white supremacist group National Alliance. Without even seeing it, one can probably make an educated guess as to its content just from that description. And not to be far off, in this game, you play as a Nazi skinhead or a Klansman who goes on a rampage, ending the lives of black people who make monkey noises when shot, Latinos dressed in stereotypical Latino outfits, and Jewish people who shout out oy vey when shot. Boss battles include fights against the Big N-word. Yes, that's his actual name in this game. It's that kind of a disgusting game. It indulges in over-the-top racial stereotypes as a means of spreading the message of its developers. Much of the content and gameplay of this game is rather rough around the edges. That's the least I can say, as you can see in action here, warts and all. Demonophobia. Demonophobia is a survival horror game with more emphasis on the horror aspect and much less on the survival aspect. You play as a girl named Sakuri Kunikai. After jokingly pretending to summon a demon, wakes up to find herself dumped straight into hell. Not surprisingly, hell is full of death traps and demons that only desire to cause grievous bodily harm. This game has a large hulking demon that looks like it could be a distant relative of Pyramid Head from Silent Hill that is constantly hunting the player down, and Sakurai is pretty much powerless, but she seems to have help from a small mysterious demon in blue who offers her advice and gives her a chance to flee, and so begins Sakurai's quest to escape from hell. This game features a lot of disturbing death traps with long elaborate cutscenes that come suddenly just by taking a wrong turn, finishing off Sakurai in brutal ways. This game is pretty messed up. I do not advise that you play it. JFK Reloaded. JFK Reloaded is a first-person shooter that recreates the assassination of John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States. As it occurred on November 22nd, 1963, the player controls Lee Harvey Oswald from the 6th floor window of the Texas School Book Depository in Dallas. As Kennedy's motorcade passes by, the player has to take 3 shots at the president with their sniper rifle. They gain points based on how closely these shots match the Warren Commission's report, so that means that the first shot has to miss. The second shot has to hit Kennedy in the neck and hit the governor of Texas in the chest, and the third shot has to fatally wound Kennedy in the head. The perfect score in this game is 1000 points. While the game does not halt the player from pursuing alternative scenarios, the score is deducted from when the player deviates from the event. For example, hitting Jacqueline Kennedy, the First Lady. Oh, and to boost the game's commercial performance, the company held a month-long competition for players to replicate the shooting as accurately as possible. The reward was a cash prize of up to $100,000, depending on the game's revenue, but the competition eventually got a winner. A 16-year-old boy from Paris, known as Major Koenig, ultimately received a cash prize of $10,000. Play. Play is a 3D eroge game made by Illusionsoft. These guys again? Go figure. It was released on April 21st, 2006 in Japan. The game centers on a male character who stalks and essays a mother and her 2 daughters. In 2009, the game garnered international attention and controversy for its content, resulting in it being banned in several countries. Play is played from the perspective of a pervert named Masaya Kimura, who stalks and subsequently essays the Kiryu family. In the story mode of this game, if you can call it that, the player controls Masaya Kimura, who has a history of previous arrests and also happens to be a son of an influential politician. This dirtbag of a man essays in consecutive order a 12-year-old Manaka, gross, a 42-year-old Yuko, and a 17-year-old Aoi. If it were up to me, this guy would be publicly executed by now. In Minecraft, of course. This game has 2 possible endings. The black ending, in which Masaya impregnates either Manaka, Aoi, or Yuko and decides to keep the child. A few days later, Masaya is at a subway when he falls onto the train tracks and is ended by a moving train. Or the red ending. In this ending, the game will show a cutscene of Aoi brandishing a knife and stabbing Masaya many times, while hysterically laughing. The scene goes black and Aoi's voice is heard. The game ends with Aoi being questioned by the police for Masaya's murder. Is an obscenely anti-LGBT video game uploaded to the digital game store Steam. This game has drawn widespread condemnation after encouraging players to shoot gay and transgender people. The game is modeled after a first-person shooter. Players earn points for killing gay characters and receive a bonus if they hit a transgender person. Transgender kill to flash on the screen from the announcer. Players are penalized for shooting straight targets, and during gameplay, a voiceover repeats statements like straight pride and whoops, I just dropped the soap. Oh, and just look at this game. It looks absolutely terrible. What a complete mess. Taiwan 2001 is a game created by Kusosoft, Kuso being Japanese for crap. It is a spoof game of the 1995 homebrew shooter game Hong Kong 97 by Japanese Kulon Kurosawa for the Super Famicom, in which the latter game has received a cult following in Japan and Taiwan because of the game's difficulty, anti-Chinese overtones, poor grammar, and graphic content. When I say graphic content, namely the fact that the final slide in the intro features a photograph of a Holocaust victim, and the game over screen utilizes a still image of a man that died during the Bosnian War. This game has a reputation as one of the worst games ever made. The name of the company, Kusosoft, is most likely a made-up company name, as a parody of Happysoft, the company that distributed Hong Kong 97. The gameplay of this game is highly similar to Hong Kong 97. However, Kusosoft claims that it's intended to be way worse than the original game. Saw 2 Flesh and Blood. Saw 2 Flesh and Blood is a third-person survival horror game developed by Zombie Studios and published by Konami. It was released on the 19th of October 2010. Now, this is a movie tie-in game based on the Saw movies, which obviously makes it highly disturbing and violent. But the gameplay of this game is not great. It's sort of mediocre. The only thing this game has going for it is the shock value of its violence. I mean, just bloody look at it. Pun intended. I doubt a game such as this would be ever made in today's climate. 2010 was a totally different time. Best avoid this one if you're easily grossed out by gore and violence. VTech Rampage. VTech Rampage is a controversial action video game that recreates the 2007 Virginia Tech School shooting. The game was created by 21-year-old Ryan Lambourne from Australia. The Flash-based game came to light when it was uploaded to Newgrounds using Lambourne's screen name, Master Pigpen. The game was released 3 weeks after the Virginia Tech massacre. Its graphics and controls are intentionally clumsy. The player controls Seng-Hui Cho, the killer, through 3 levels of stealth and murder in a slanted overhead view. In the first level, the player must walk across the Virginia Tech campus to shoot Emily J. Hilscher, Cho's real-life first victim, without killing too many other people or scaring Emily away. Emily's death is witnessed by Ryan Clark, Cho's second victim, who also must be killed. In the second level, he must walk across the same campus while avoiding the searchlights of police investigators. In the third level, he barricades the exit of the school building and must shoot everyone inside in 90 seconds before the police arrive to arrest him. The game finishes with Cho's suicide, which occurs when the player presses the shoot button. In this game, Cho often monologues about his mission goals, and he can also speak to other characters, whose reactions differ depending on whether they're playing Cho or not. The game's dialogue has occasional grammar or spelling errors, and is riddled with obscenities, insults, racist terms, scatological references, and offers of sex from female characters in exchange for their lives. Active Shooter. Active Shooter is a first-person video game developed by Russian video game developer Anton Makarevsky and publisher Ata Brediev, working under the names Revived Games and Acid Publishing Group. It was first scheduled for release on June 6, 2018 through the Steam distribution platform. After Valve removed the publisher from the platform, the developer released the game independently as an early access title. The game depicts a school shooting and allows the player to take the role either of the active shooter or a SWAT member responding to the event, or a civilian who can choose to flee the shooting or fight the shooter. The active shooter can choose to attack with guns, grenades or knives, and the number of civilian and police deaths are tallied on screen. Active Shooter attracted controversy after its Steam store page was published, with the parents of Stoneman Douglas, high school shooting victims, campaigning against the game online. An online petition had attracted 100,000 signatures by the time of the game's cancellation. Pygmy Billy. Pygmy Billy is a game in which you play as a killer named Billy, obviously, as you try to satiate the hunger of a massive flesh-eating hole that has materialized in your closet. The game consists of 3 different scenarios that all start off with Billy waking up in his bed, getting a phone call from his benefactor, then putting on his clown mask and arming himself with a revolver before getting into his car and driving off to look for victims. Scenario 1 takes place late at night by a gas station, where a woman is using a payphone. Billy parks in the nearby woods before killing her and taking her corpse to his car. In the second scenario, Billy yet again parks in the woods and then wanders upon a campsite with 3 people enjoying themselves and having fun, let's just say. He then promptly kills them and carries them off to his car, where he then feeds them to the hole in his closet. In the third and final scenario, Billy happens upon a couple of small houses by the side of the road. He finds one with an unlocked door and kills its inhabitants, yet again taking their bodies to his car. After feeding the corpses to the flesh-eating hole, a goat that is seemingly made out of flesh arises from the hole, and text appears on the screen exclaiming, "All done." The game then abruptly ends. Pico's School. Pico's School is a 1999 Flash game developed by Tom Full for his website Newgrounds. The game is a point-and-click adventure shooter that was inspired by the Columbine High School massacre, putting the player in the shoes of the titular Pico, who has to fight a group of stereotypical goth kids who have killed their classmates. During a school lesson on apples and bananas, Pico's classmate Cassandra interrupts the class to denounce the American education system, which she believes to be nonsense. Before opening fire upon her fellow students, Pico blacks out during the chaos, managing to escape the classroom, only to discover the majority of his classmates have been killed. As Pico fights the goth kids, he discovers they are being manipulated by Cassandra. Cassandra is then revealed to be an alien, and Pico must defeat her. Another game about school shootings, huh? I feel like I see a pattern here. Darkstar. Darkstar is a 2D action platformer that sets us loose on an alien-infested planet. The reason we're there and our motivation is unknown, as there's no story of any kind in this game. After playing this game for a while, we gather that pretty much everything is hostile, be it plant life or local creatures. Our blonde protagonist comes well equipped with dual energy pistols, which contain infinite ammo. She is less of a prey to this hostile world and more akin to a hunter. You'll be blasting your way past countless creatures as you traverse this treacherous terrain. It all sounds good so far, right? Well, in this game, when an enemy enters melee range, or if you let them get close to you, you'll quickly get grappled and taken advantage of, meaning SA'd. This game has 17 unique SA animations. You have to mash buttons to stop the SA. The longer it takes you to break free, the more damage you will take. Oh, and if you lose all of your health during the SA, the monster climaxes. Quite riveting. Milk inside a bag of milk inside a bag of milk. is a game that begins from the first-person perspective, where the player accompanies a girl to the grocery store to pick up a bag of milk for the character's mother. The girl's walk is made extremely difficult by her inability to hypothetically speak a sentence to the cashier, and by her obsessive realization that one foot was walking on the asphalt and the other on the grass, to which the player must try to teach her how to walk properly. Once she is inside the store, the player must navigate and remind her several times to grab and pay for the milk, which is made all the more difficult due to the character's hallucinations and inability to properly communicate with others. Once outside, the character walks close to a gas station and is almost struck by a truck, but hallucinates a bear passing her by. The player can choose two different ways to confront the girl about her problems, but either path chosen leads to the character breaking the fourth wall and imagining herself speaking to the player directly. In this conversation, the player is informed about the terrible traumas the girl has faced, such as her father's suicide and the mental troubles she had ever since. The player interrupts her, then advises her to head back to her home, and the game picks back up from where it left off. At this point, the music stops, and the girl elaborates on this by explaining that the medicine causes her to hear terrible and unpleasant melodies, which stop after her medicine wears off. If it's not completely obvious, this game is heavily themed around mental disorders, and if you're easily sensitive to that, please avoid it. Little Red Riding Hood Goes Shopping. Little Red Riding Hood Goes Shopping is an adult-oriented 2D platformer. In it, we play as the titular Red Riding Hood on a grand quest to deliver a adult toy to Grandma. Yep, you heard that right. All of the story is told via a prologue option in the main menu. It is shown via child drawings that have a real fever dream / serial killer vibe to them and are fully voice acted in Japanese. This is not your toned-down children's version of the tale. Remember how the original tale had cannibalism and Red Riding Hood was forced to get naked before climbing into the bed with the wolf? The story is far from important in this game. We can simply jump straight into the game and be greeted with a Mario-themed aesthetic. Anyone could pick this up and play due to its simplicity. But anyways, as you get used to the controls of this game, you will notice something curious. If you do not move for a while, your character will start having lewd thoughts. The first stage of this game is set in a lovely green zone, and your enemies consist of mushrooms and turtles. It has a relatively innocent mood to it. That is, until you run across a living tree that would not look out of place in a Kirby game. If you get hit with its spit attack, you will find your character dissolving under its acidic nature in a highly disturbing and violent manner. Many of the deaths in this game are quite violent. For example, a ghost will enter your body and inflate your head until it explodes, or a clown will twist off your arms and then eat you. This might be highly disturbing to some people. Oh, and this game features a boss battle against your arch nemesis Black Hood. She challenges you to a picture matching minigame. You have to randomly pick two cards and try to remember what they are, and then attempt to match all of them with their respective symbols. If you win the challenge, then Black Hood gets SA'd. If you lose, then you suffer the same fate. And that's pretty messed up. 177. 177 is an unparalleled example of a game that not only depicts a very serious, dark and disturbing subject, but does it so in an offensive and trivial way. Created by DB Soft in 1986, 177 is named after the Japanese law that prohibits SA against people aged 13 or older. The concept of this game in itself is deeply appalling. Players must chase down a fleeing woman, stealing pieces of clothing until she is completely naked, at which point players must force themselves on her, meaning SA her. The Japanese National Diet, in charge of Japanese legislature, later banned 177, and the developers of the game remained anonymous, with the company eventually being sold in 2003. What adds another layer of contempt to this game is the gameplay itself, which is styled as a pixelated side-scrolling arcade game, not dissimilar in appearance to titles of the decade such as Donkey Kong or Super Mario Bros. This game does not treat its subject matter with any sort of respect or sensitivity. Players must hop over ridiculous obstacles, such as animals or household furniture, to reach the girl. As a misguided attempt at humor that is so distasteful it falls flat, there is a complete lack of empathy towards the victim. Instead, there is a cynical, malicious perspective, objectifying her for the player's satisfaction, with constant close-ups of the victim's distressed facial expressions. Players are rewarded with a minigame, if you can call this a reward, where they are in full control of the SA, mashing buttons to deplete stats, similar to a fighting game. Successfully completing the game results in the player marrying the girl, implying that the repeated SA can seduce someone into falling for their attacker, so that they won't be charged with a crime, making 177 one of the most disgusting and disturbing video games ever made. Fear and Hunger. Okay, this game has a lot of disturbing and dark themes, but at the same time, it's a really good game, so don't let this video dissuade you from playing it. Oh, and if you like what you see here, I suggest that you check out Frapalo94. He's a YouTuber that primarily focuses on Fear and Hunger. Anyways, developed in 2018 by Miro, Fear and Hunger is a dungeon crawler and a survival horror RPG that stands out for its particularly dark and unforgiving gameplay. Unfairness is written deeply into this game, as it's not just the enemies themselves that conceal tricks, hidden difficulties, and outright impossible scenarios. In this game, knowledge is power. The subsections of this map are randomly generated, meaning that players cannot rely on a previously successful method or path to outrun or avoid the enemy. Even the save points provide a chance for you to lose your progress, since for example, to save the game, you must sleep in a bed, which is a coin flip, and if you fail the coin flip, you get attacked by a monster, but if you succeed, you get to save the game. Granted, in this game you have something called the Book of Enlightenment, which is a guaranteed save, but they are sort of rare. Oh, and enemies in this game are really difficult. Enemies often resemble grotesque puzzles that must be defeated through turn-based combat, with body parts that have unique effects and can be conquered in different ways. Body horror is fundamental to character design in this game, with tamer encounters being disembodied floating heads, a skin granny wearing the faces of her victims, and violent embryos attacking while their umbilical cord is still attached to their mother. Players themselves are subjected to immense cruelty, including having limbs cut off by enemies or being forced to self-mutilate due to an infection. Players may also be shocked by uncensored nudity and sexual activity in this game, as many NPCs in this game have their genitalia on display, and at times engage in perverted actions in the player's presence, if you know what I mean. Notably, enemies like the Harvest Man, upon defeating the player, forcibly perform essay on the protagonist. Sad Satan. Sad Satan is a horror video game released for Windows in 2015. The game was allegedly created by a dark web user operating under the pseudonym ZK. In the game, the player walks down dimly lit corridors in a first-person view while being periodically interrupted by flashes of full-screen images. There are no goals or win conditions in this game, so it is sort of a walking simulator. There are two prominent versions of Sad Satan. Footage of the earliest version was uploaded to the YouTube channel Obscure Horror Corner on June 25th, 2015. The channel's videos of the game were picked up by a number of English language publications, and later on, it was picked up internationally. A later version of Sad Satan, informally known as the clone version, owing to the substantial differences between it and the earlier version, gained notoriety for containing extremely graphic imagery, including photographs of mutilated corpses and an instance of CP. That's disgusting. The original game, in the Obscure Horror Corner video, has blurred graphics, and the player walks down monochromatic corridors, while various audio samples are played and looped over each other. Audio in the game leans heavily on recordings of interviews with various murderers such as Charles Manson, as well as on distorted or reversed audio of such interviews or musical clips such as the song I Love Beijing Tiananmen played in the beginning. Reversed clips from the Swedish Rasvedi number station can also be heard, adding to the game's theme of abuse. The Doors rendition of the Alabama song can also be heard, starting with the verse, "Show me the way to the next girl." That's horrifying. While the player controls their character through the hallways, images may display, taking up the entire screen and preventing the player from progressing any further until the image automatically closes after a few seconds. Most of the images seem to reference CP. The only characters in the game are children who simply stand in one place and do not move or interact with the player at all. In the final video posted by the Obscure Horror Corner, one of these children does begin to follow the player, causing contact damage. Since the player has no means of self-defense or any ability to recover from the damage, the player will inevitably die at this point in the game. The later clone of Sad Satan and its subsequent offshoots closely follow the gameplay template of the original, but display different, often far more graphic sets of images. These images include photographs of mutilated corpses, and in the case of the earliest build of the game, an image of CP. God, saying that really makes me wanna vomit. Rule of Rose. Rule of Rose has always been a controversial game. Actually, this PS2 survival horror game was banned in the UK at the time of its 2006 release, and it was almost banned in several other countries as well. While some of those bans can be attributed to the lie-filled moral panic designed to score political points among the moralists, there is no denying that Rule of Rose is a deeply disturbing game. The very concept of a survival horror game starring such a young playable protagonist is troubling enough. What really puts this one over the top is its commitment to making young Jennifer endure some of the most indescribable horrors you've ever seen in such a game. Rule of Rose falls somewhere between Silent Hill and one of those old gothic fairy tales, where the kids are most certainly not alright. If you ever wanted to watch a child battle the manifestations of their elaborate nightmares, while their only companion, a lovable dog, is constantly in danger, this game is for you. Growing My Grandpa. Yeah, this one is quite weird. While there are quite a few indie horror titles that exist largely for shock value, I find Growing My Grandpa to not be only one of the most troubling horror games on Steam, but one of the most genuinely fascinating as well. Growing My Grandpa is basically a Digimon game. It follows a child named Adrian, who discovers that something is growing in the basement of their house. Adrian soon takes it upon themselves to help this thing survive, which leads to an almost indescribable adventure filled with disturbing virtual pet mechanics, meditations on depression, and a few wild plot twists. This game is certainly gross, but like the best examples of body horror, there are some truly fascinating bits of social commentary hidden beneath this game's disgusting exterior. The Cat Lady. I could see someone arguing that The Cat Lady isn't a horror game in the most traditional sense of the idea, but I truly believe it qualifies for a place on this iceberg. Besides, few will argue that this game is anything less than seriously troubling, regardless of which genre they ultimately put it in. The Cat Lady tells a story of a lonely middle-aged woman who is days, perhaps hours, away from committing suicide. However, her plans are upset by a strange set of circumstances involving a few mysterious strangers. Any game that deals with suicide as openly and as often as this game will always be disturbing, but that's just the beginning of what this game has in store. Much like those nuclear panic movies from the 80s, this game is designed to showcase some of the worst scenarios you can possibly imagine. This is not an easy game to process by any means, though there is a kind of twisted beauty to the whole thing. Phantasmagoria. While there were very few good FMV games released during the 90s, most of the titles in that bizarre genre are memorable for reasons other than their quality. Phantasmagoria is one such title. This FMV adventure game begins with a young couple moving into a potentially haunted house, soon gives way to what can only be described as a trip through the torture hall of fame. This game's most violent moments were clearly designed to make you feel sick. They often achieve this goal, so if you were to play this, get ready to vomit. Much like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, though those already disturbing images are strangely made worse by the decidedly low-budget nature of this entire game. For some reason, low budget is way more scary than high budget. It has that dirty feel to it. Harvester. At first, I felt kind of bad for including two gory FMV games from the 90s on this iceberg. Ultimately though, it was hard to part with either of these ugly games that just leave you feeling like you just played through a snuff film. Harvester opens up with a man waking up in a small town he's never heard of, with no idea how he got there. The almost Pleasantville, like quaint nature of the town soon unravels as the hero gradually begins to understand the nature of his situation. Harvester includes a scene in which smiling children eat their dying mother. Sorry for that mental image. And that's when the worst thing for to witness. The whole game is definitely according, but bad writing and bad acting won't raise the images it forces into your brain. KZ Manager. KZ Manager is a name of a resource management computer video game that puts the player in the role of a concentration camp commandant or manager, where the resources to be managed include, depending on the version of the game, prisoners, either Jewish people, Turkish people, or Romani people, poison gas and supplies, money and other various equipment, as well as a public opinion gauge on the productivity of the camp. The game has been indexed by the German Federal Department for Media, harmful to young persons, and was confiscated in October of 1990 by the district court for violating the German criminal code, meaning it is forbidden to distribute this game in Germany. The goal of this game is to keep the camp functioning by keeping the public opinion or other important resources and gauges over or under a certain threshold. In one version, public opinion rises when the manager executes a number of prisoners. However, ordering said gas to execute people with costs money, which can be gathered by forcing the prisoners to work. Spending too much time without a sufficient number of executions makes public satisfaction drop, and having too few working prisoners will soon drive to a resource shortage and closing of the camp, thus losing the game. Also, prisoners must be purchased by the camp's manager, and the corpses of the deceased prisoners must be disposed of. Disposing of corpses has an associated cost. Like other resource management games, this means that ultimately the goal is trying to find an optimal balance and timing between expenses, income, and actions, and production goals. Although, this game has a highly disgusting twist. What a freaking mess. Hatred. Hatred is an isometric shoot-'em-up video game developed and published by Destructive Creations that was released on June 1st, 2015 for Microsoft Windows. The character you play as is a mass murderer with possibly the edgiest outfit of all time. He claims that his name is not important, and he begins a crusade to end as many human beings as possible. The developers of Hatred describe the game as a reaction to the video game aesthetic trends such as political correctness, politeness, and vivid color, and games as an art form. Its October 2014 announcement trailer was characterized characterized as controversial by multiple video game journalists. The game was shortly removed by Valve from their Steam Greenlight service due to its extremely violent content, but was later brought back with personal apology from Gabe Newell. It was greenlit for a second time on December 29, 2014. Upon release, Hatred received generally negative reviews. Critics panned the game for being too repetitive and lacking variety, criticizing its violent and controversial nature. Although some minor praise went towards its gameplay mechanics, the mass murdering guy you play as in this game stated that he hates this world and the human worms feasting on its carcass. Oh, and by the way, health is regenerated by performing executions on incapacitated people in this game. The moves made to kill these victims often involve cinematic switches of camera perspectives, and they are highly disturbing. The edgelord you play as is disgusted by human society and general existence. He decides to commit a one-way trip spree of killings in New York, using his arsenal of weapons. Traveling from his neighborhood to one police plaza, the man kills dozens of civilians and NYPD officers, prompting a government response. After escaping the police by train, he devises a plan to carry out his mission of ending himself and taking as many people as he can with him by blowing up a nuclear plant near the city. To accomplish this, he needs a Composition C plastic explosive, which he gets by storming Fort O'Connor military base, wiping out the entire military base before heading to the power plant. He manages to enter the nuclear plant and plants explosives on the nuclear reactor. He then attempts to overload it using the security system. Whether or not he succeeds or fails, soldiers arrive and shoot him multiple times in the chest, while he laughs as he dies. He activates the explosive trigger, the power plant explodes, leveling New York City to the ground and ending the lives of millions of people. Sonic.exe. Sonic.exe is a fan game in the Sonic the Hedgehog universe, and it was first released in August of 2012. The game is an adaptation of the original creepypasta of the same name, with additional original content added in later versions. In the first level of the game, you play as Tails in a flat version of the Green Hill Zone. Partway through the level, dead animals start appearing on the ground and in the palm trees, and Sonic can be seen hiding in certain trees. Sonic stands at the end of the level, facing away from Tails, with his eyes closed. When Tails approaches Sonic in a cutscene, as static gradually grows more and more intense on the screen, and the level abruptly ends, since Sonic freaking rips the head off of Tails and does a 360-degree movement with his head and looks directly at you. In the second level, you play as Knuckles. The level is called You Can't Run. It is a flat scrap brain zone with a dark red sky. After moving far enough, static briefly appears on the screen and the ground becomes covered in blood. After reaching the end of the level, Sonic appears in front of Knuckles and text saying "Found you" is displayed on the screen. Then the player enters a fight with Sonic, where Sonic teleports away every time Knuckles gets close, as Sonic is toying with him. After enough time passes, Knuckles will collapse on his knees, and Sonic will kill him. In the last level of the game, you play as Eggman. You are in a castle with long staircases. The background changes after reaching the bottom of each staircase. At the end of the level, Sonic appears in front of Eggman. The game cuts to Sonic.exe's face with the text, "I am God." Static flickers on the screen, and Sonic.exe laughs after the last burst of static. The game then cuts to a message asking if the player is ready for round 2, meaning that Sonic wishes to hunt you down in real life. I've done a playthrough of Sonic.exe on my channel. If you'd like to check it out, feel free to. Eastern Mind. Eastern Mind is a point-and-click adventure game about a man named Rin who has lost his soul. A friend gives him an artificial soul that will last 49 days, with which he goes on a quest to the island of Tognu to recover his soul. The island takes the form of a human head, and the player can enter its various orifices to access locations in the game. The player must die and be reincarnated as 9 different creatures in order to complete 9 unique missions. After dying, the outcome of Rin's transformation is determined by the player's specific choice between 3 pairs of eyes, 3 noses, and 3 mouths. When every mission has been completed, the player is able to reach Central Mountain and recover Rin's soul. This has to be one of the strangest games I have ever played, and it's filled to the brim with freaky and strange imagery, really disturbing. Life with a Slave, Teaching Feeling is a game released in 2015 in which you are a small city doctor who one day is visited by a wandering merchant whose life you had once saved, who has come to repay you. He entrusts you with a small, horrifically abused farmer slave girl called Sylvie, whose former master, that's now deceased, used to torture her on a daily basis for fun, leaving her with grotesque acid burns all over her body. The entire focus of this game is caring for her, repairing her damaged psyche with kindness, compassion, and head pats, and as the name suggests, teaching her to feel again until she learns to be happy. Now, what's really messed up with this game is you can abuse her just like her previous master did. Even force yourself upon her. Of course, you don't have to do that, you can help her, but the option still exists. Granted, many players play this game in a kind way and help the girl recover from her past trauma. Quest for Bush Quest for Bush is a first-person shooter video game released by the Global Islamic Media Front, an Al-Qaeda propaganda organization. The game was released in September of 2006. The goal is to fight American soldiers through 6 levels and eventually kill the boss of the game, George W. Bush, obviously. The game is a modification of the game Quest for Saddam, released by Petrila Entertainment in 2003. Dual Face. So this game is about twin sisters, Nozomi and Kanami, that have a relationship that goes decidedly beyond that of sisters, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it's a game about incest. Their feelings for one another escalate, and they realize that once something has been broken, it can never go back to the way it was. I can't show you much of this one for obvious reasons, but I advise that you do not look it up. Don't do any research on this one. Chiller. Chiller is a light gun arcade game released in 1986. In the game, the player takes on the role of an unseen torturer who must maim, mutilate, and murder restrained NPCs in a variety of dungeon settings. Few of the NPCs in this game are capable of fighting back, with the challenge element lying in how quickly the player can cause each victim to die in a gruesome way. The game consists of 4 main levels: the torture chamber, the rack room, the haunted house, and the graveyard. If enough score is accumulated by completing these levels successfully, a final boss round is unlocked, which consists of target practice, where objects traveling at increasingly high speeds must be shot between each level. A bonus score can be obtained by winning at the slot machine. The first 2 levels of this game feature seemingly human NPCs, restrained by medieval torture devices. The player must discover how to kill these characters in the shortest possible amount of time. Although it is possible to shoot them to death, this process is inefficient, as direct shots only result in chunks of flesh being blown away, leaving the victims alive. Instead, the challenge lies in finding ways to activate the medieval torture devices, resulting in quicker, bloodier, and more gruesome deaths. I am genuinely surprised how this game was able to be made. There are certain scenes of it I'm definitely not allowed to show you on YouTube. Maggot Baits. Maggot Baits is extreme, violently extreme. Most of this game is comprised of sexual violence, and if you play it, you should expect to see a lot of SA and gore. You'll be faced with a highly violent, constant stream of SA. The pacing in this game is awful, because it is self-indulgent. There's way too many SA scenes, one after another, so most of it can be considered unnecessary, especially since this game has an SA scene with minor witches. Of course, this SA scene can be skipped, but skipping some scenes will be detrimental to the story, since some scenes contain tidbits of plot. So if we ignore all the disgusting stuff and all the SA, the writing in this game is excellent. It's really top notch. It has an amazing plot with a beginning, middle, and end that is well defined. So this game has 2 endings. One ending, the bad ending, which I didn't bother to play because it's basically a Futanari SA scene. I'd highly recommend skipping it if you're not into Futanari or if you don't want to see that. But both of the endings in this game are absolutely satisfying. They wrap up all loose ends and they are very emotional. The amazing plot and writing are hampered by its abysmal pacing. As I said before, there are way too many SA scenes. So you'll get some plot, and right after that, you'll have to suffer through an SA scene. If you can suffer through the SA scenes, you'll have an excellent plot with deep philosophical themes. The witch in this game, for one, brings up the theme of unconditional love, and with it, a critique of Christianity and how the world truly is, even though Christianity is the prevailing religion in the West. Another point of the plot is that morality in this game is not black and white. It's really hard to define what is good or evil. And honestly, for me, the ending in which communism has been achieved due to the true love of the witch is the best ending so far. Either way, both endings are very emotional, with love being of extreme significance to them, but both are bittersweet. This game has very intelligent writing, with references to both real-world events and magical themes. While the sexual violence hampers the story, mainly because of its pacing, in a strange way, the game wouldn't be emotional and moving without it. Complements the plot, if that makes any sense. It also has some great action scenes that will pump up your adrenaline. So if you're easily grossed out by any of the stuff I just mentioned, avoid this game like it's the freaking plague. Now for the most disturbing and banned video game of all time, Nintendogs. Ooh, scary. Nah, I'm just kidding. Hey, thank you for watching this far. People like you is what make my community super awesome. I'm really happy to see that my community has grown this much very recently. So yeah, people like you is what make this show possible. If you would like to, you can become a channel member. Hit the My son thinks that he has 20 girlfriends. How can I tell him that anime girls do not actually exist and that he needs to find a real girlfriend? He is 36 years old. Is age 34 too old to pursue a career as a child actor? My boyfriend told me that there are special proteins and nutrients in sperm that can inhibit COVID-19. It must be administered orally or anally. Is this right? Can I force my 17-year-old son to wear a bra for a month as punishment for disrespecting girls? My 12-year-old son died after holding his breath because I didn't give him an Optimus Prime toy for his birthday. What should I do next? Which BTS member's nipples do you want to suck? Why is it cultural appropriation when a white girl has braids in her hair, but not the same when a black person uses a cell phone? If I go to a dog shelter with my face painted like a dog, collared, leashed and harnessed, will I be accepted? My 25-year-old son just got a job in engineering and is now discussing moving out in a few months. I took $8,000 out of his bank account to stop him from moving, and now there's a court case. How do I get custody of my son back? I'm going to eat my dog. Is it okay? I'm 15 and I just found out I'm pregnant. Is it normal if I belly flop on the concrete to eliminate the child? Is it true that German people laugh? No. When did gorillas stop having gills? Was it when gorillas evolved into humans? How do girls poop? If you're a girl, can you explain to me in detail what you do? Do you poop first or pee? How far do you sit on the toilet, etc.? I'm sorry, I'm just curious. My wife is pregnant and just accidentally ate papaya. Is there any way to save the baby? Women are known and understood to have a lot of holes. But do men have as well? Do men have the same number of holes? And why is this not common knowledge? I am 18. How do I tell my parents I'm hoping to be homeless so I don't have to work? What can I give my 2-pound dog after she ate some meth? My teenage son has been going to the bathroom without my permission. How do I punish this behavior? I am a 3-month-old embryo using my self-taught telepathic skills to interface with the Wi-Fi in mom's house. Is it too late to learn programming? My former barber lied and told me he stopped cutting hair, yet I found out he's still in the business. Do I have a case here? The American alphabet is racist. It is based on Latin, which was created by white Romans, and colored people's brains are unable to handle them. What is your suggestion for replacement? Atheists, imagine a Christian baby makes you a sandwich with sleeping pills and laxatives. After you fall asleep, he glues your butthole shut. Then you wake up, and he won't give you any glue remover until you renounce atheism. What do you do? My son was hacking on Minecraft. Should I smash his computer? My 5-year-old son coughed without my permission, so I slapped him. How do I make sure he gets my approval before he coughs? Can I safely look at a picture of the sun? My 14-year-old daughter talks about dinosaurs and ancient civilizations. How do I make her stop? Oh no, the horror. Can I know someone's race by smelling their throat? Can you be charged with a crime if you are-word an armed intruder in your home? Or can you use any force you wish upon them? My 18-year-old son said he kissed a girl a while back, so I grounded him for 3 months, destroyed his phone, and sold his car. Was I too easy on him? If you had 0.01 seconds before your wiener turned into a singing walrus, what would you do? My son keeps misbehaving, so I have temporarily banned his water privileges. He hasn't learned his lesson yet, and still calls me a bad parent. What do I do? Why do some ignorant people think the zombie apocalypse never happened?
Wars, poverty, climate change. But forget all that, because one of the more pressing issues many countries are noted to facing is of course Generation Z. And Japan is no different. So exactly what problems are the land of the rising sun facing with their Gen Z?
今回ですけどね、20歳を過ぎて、お酒を飲めなくても人生をうまくやっていく方法ということでね。
Well, that's what we're going to explore in this video. In many aspects, the Gen Z of Japan share the same kind of characteristics as Gen Z in most parts of the world. They're digital natives, growing up in a world where the internet already existed, and during the rise of social media. Part of what this means is younger Japanese people are used to obtaining raw information about what is happening in Japan and around the world. Previous generations were, and many still, are used to gaining their information from traditional forms of media like newspapers and TV. In fact, a huge reason why traditional media is still thriving in Japan is simply because there aren't as many young people, with the average age being around 49, making Japan's population the oldest in the world. However, as many might have already known, traditional media is often quite selective on what is reported and tends to spin stories in a particular way depending on their audience base. What this has resulted in is a communication divide between Gen Z and previous generations on a range of topics. However, we are seeing a rise in more older Japanese internet users within more recent years. But let's get to the main issue, which is typically brought up when talking about Gen Z: work. Japanese society is heavily centered around working, and nothing beats social credit like being a full-time employee, aka seishain, in a top company. Japanese company practices also typically require a level of commitment that goes beyond the job description, and being active in trying to get your boss to like you so you can climb the corporate ladder, which is also assumed to be something you want to do. Something else I don't usually hear about within other videos that discuss Japanese working culture is the view older generations take that company members are like family, where you'd be given a role like being the big brother or sister. This is actually used as a method to stop new grads from suddenly quitting, by letting their senior, aka senpai, be someone they can go easily talk to. But we'll talk about the quitting issue in just a bit. Overall, the expectation for Japanese companies is that you'll stay within that company for life, being moved into different departments at the company's convenience. However, many of the Gen Z in Japan are seeing work differently, seeing it as just a place to work. I know, shocking. This has led to complaints from superiors that they aren't able to communicate and bond anymore with those below them, as many younger workers aren't as keen on chit-chatting and also refuse to go out drinking with their boss after work, preferring to prioritize their private time. Not only that, a big complaint about Gen Z when it comes to communication within the workplace is that they're too sensitive. Reasoning for this is the notable increase in the types of haras there are. Hara meaning harassment. The most common type of hara you are bound to hear about is sekuhara, which stands for sexual harassment. But now, different haras are constantly popping up, and many attribute this to Gen Z. For example, yumehara, yume meaning dream. Now, some of you might be scratching your heads wondering, what kind of harassment exactly is that? Essentially, this is when your boss or senpai asks you about your dreams, as in what you aspire to do. Some preferring to just not talk about their dreams, or just not having any dreams in the first place, feeling that they were just put on the spot. What also counts as yumehara is when those superiors talk about their dreams, basically because the younger workers don't really care. There is also another trait about Gen Z that is something we often hear about in the news. They easily quit. Yes, as I mentioned before, quitting is probably the biggest issue many companies are facing with Gen Z. Forget about staying for life, some quit within a year. What's also interesting is that some will choose not to say they quit themselves, but will use an agency that is specialized in quitting on behalf of their clients. Yes, you heard that right. Some reasons for this though are actually pretty understandable. You see, some bosses here simply don't say okay when you say you're going to quit. This is particularly in the case of clients who work at a black company. Some bosses will actually try to stop their employees from quitting, becoming really aggressive or even threatening them with some financial liability. Interestingly though, it actually isn't new grads that make up the bulk of users for this service. One agency even revealed it was less than 20%, but that the number was rising. Now, reasons why new grads are quitting vary from things like finding out the company wasn't like what they were told during the interview to simply not getting along with their coworkers. But there is another trend: fear for the future. To be honest, this isn't just Gen Z, but many of the younger generation are concerned that they aren't obtaining the skills they need for future progress, or see their superiors are not getting pay increases but are just doing double the amount of work. A lot of Japanese companies have put in effort to improve their work environments, from trying to decrease overtime to changing how superiors talk with subordinates, but even with great working conditions, if younger workers don't feel challenged, they'll look elsewhere.
This is certainly a big change from older generations, but essentially it boils down to Gen Z wanting a good work environment where they also feel that their future is secure. The power balance has started to shift in Japan. It's no longer about what the employees can do for the company, but what the company can do for the employee. Japanese companies that can't comply with those needs are going to continue to lose early stage workers. Okay guys, that's going to do it for this video. As someone who has worked in
punish people when they break whatever rules Superman comes up with. I mean, I was a criminal. I needed second, third, and fourth chances before turning my life around, so what's the deal there?
The Cabin. The genesis of Plastic Man. The flexible hero from the Golden Age. Plastic Man stands as one of the most distinctive and enduring characters in the annals of comic book history. His journey, from his inception to his evolution within popular culture, is a compelling narrative that tracks the innovation, creativity, and burgeoning of the superhero genre during the Golden Age of comics. Conceived by the ingenious writer-artist Jack Cole, Plastic Man made his first appearance in Police Comics #1, released by Quality Comics in August 1941. His extraordinary abilities, his creators, and his lasting impact on the comic book world and beyond.
Welcome.
The emergence of a singular hero, Plastic Man, known in his civilian life as Patrick Eel O'Brien, started his journey in the underbelly of society as a petty crook. Eel O'Brien was a low-level criminal deeply entrenched in a gang involved in various illicit activities. However, his life took a dramatic and unexpected turn during a bungled robbery at the Crawford Chemical Works. During the heist, O'Brien was shot by a security guard and doused with a mysterious chemical liquid. He managed to drag himself to safety before losing consciousness. Upon regaining consciousness, O'Brien discovered that the chemical had imparted him with extraordinary powers. His body had become incredibly elastic, enabling him to stretch, mold, and transform into any shape he could imagine. This transformation was not merely physical. It also signified a profound shift in his moral compass. Recognizing the error of his criminal ways, Eel O'Brien decided to use his newfound abilities for the greater good. He adopted the moniker Plastic Man and committed himself to a life of fighting crime. The creative brilliance of Jack Cole. The creation of Plastic Man is inextricably linked to the brilliance of Jack Cole, one of the most innovative and talented cartoonists. Cole's unique artistic style and storytelling capabilities breathed life into Plastic Man in a manner that was both humorous and exhilarating. Unlike many of his superhero contemporaries, Plastic Man's escapades were often imbued with a sense of whimsy and absurdity, reflecting Cole's background in humor magazines. Cole's artwork was characterized by its fluidity and dynamic composition, perfectly suited to a character with elastic powers. He continually pushed the boundaries of the comic book medium, employing creative layouts and visual gags that enhanced the narrative. Plastic Man's visual flexibility allowed Cole to experiment with form and perspective in ways that were groundbreaking for the time. Powers and abilities. A new kind of hero, Plastic Man's powers set him distinctly apart from other superheroes of the Golden Age. His ability to stretch and contort his body into any conceivable shape made him a versatile and unpredictable hero. He could flatten himself to slip under doors, to incredible lengths, and even mimic everyday objects to ambush criminals. This elasticity also endowed him with a degree of invulnerability, as his pliable body could absorb impacts that would harm ordinary humans. In addition to his physical capabilities, Plastic Man possessed a sharp intellect and a keen sense of humor.
Hey, look! I found the key.
He often used his wit and cunning to outsmart his adversaries, making him a formidable opponent. His unique powers and personality endeared him to readers who appreciated the blend of action and comedy in his stories. Evolution and enduring legacy. Plastic Man's popularity during the Golden Age led to numerous appearances in Police Comics and his own self-titled series. Quality Comics eventually ceased publication, and the rights to Plastic Man were acquired by DC Comics. DC Comics revived Plastic Man in the 1960s, reintroducing him to a new generation of readers. Over the years, he has been a member of various superhero teams, including the Justice League and the Freedom Fighters. His character has undergone several reinterpretations. Plastic Man's influence extends beyond comic books. He has appeared in animated television shows, such as the Plastic Man Comedy Adventure Show in the late 1970s, and has made guest appearances in other DC animated series. His unique powers and comedic potential have also made him a favorite among writers and artists, who continue to explore new facets of his character. The expanding universe of Plastic Man. Plastic Man's journey extends far beyond his Golden Age origins, weaving through the intricate tapestry of comic book history and pop culture. His story is not just about his powers and adventures, but also reflects the evolving nature of the superhero genre and the changing taste of comic book audiences. The Silver Age revival. When DC Comics acquired the rights to Plastic Man, they recognized the potential to rejuvenate this quirky character. The Silver Age of comics, marked by a resurgence of superhero popularity, provided the perfect backdrop for Plastic Man's return. His reintroduction was met with enthusiasm as readers were eager to embrace the humor and lightheartedness he brought to the superhero landscape. DC Comics not only brought Plastic Man back into the fold, but also integrated him into their broader universe. He became a member of the Justice League of America, where his unique abilities and comedic presence added a fresh dynamic to the team. This inclusion helped solidify his position within the pantheon of iconic DC superheroes. In the modern era, Plastic Man has undergone various reinterpretations, each exploring different facets of his character. Writers and artists have experimented with his backstory, delving into his criminal past and the psychological impact of his transformation. These reimaginings have added depth and complexity to Plastic Man, ensuring that he remains a relevant and compelling character for contemporary audiences. Plastic Man in other media. Plastic Man's appeal extends beyond the pages of comic books. His elastic powers and humorous personality have made him a natural fit for animated television. In 1979, the Plastic Man Comedy Adventure Show brought the character to a new audience, showcasing his adventures in a family-friendly format. The show captured the essence of Jack Cole's original creation, blending action with slapstick comedy. In addition to his own animated series, Plastic Man has made guest appearances in various DC animated projects. He is featured in Batman, The Brave and the Bold Justice League action, and Teen Titans Go, among others. These appearances have introduced him to younger audiences and reinforced his status as a beloved, enduring character. The prospect of a live-action Plastic Man